Namaskar. Important personalities of Bihar: Gautam Buddha (563 to 483 BC), contemporary of Lord Mahavir. Gautam Buddha was born in 563 BC in a Kshatriya family of of Sakya caste. He attained wisdom at the bank of Falgu river in Bodh Gaya. For religion, he followed the middle path. He propounded four truths for Aryan and Ashtangic marg. He died at Kushinagar, UP in 483 BC. Today, the followers of followers of Buddhism are found all over the world. Amrapali was a state dancer of Vaishali at the time of arrival of Buddha at Vaishali. Amrapali invited him at lunch to her home, which he accepted. The spirit of patriotism of Amrapali was proved, was proved at the time when Ajatashatru came to her for shelter. Amrapali loved Ajatashatru. Despite of that, Amrapali rejected the favor of Ajatashatru and sacrificed her love. Mahavir 540 to 468 BC. Sri Mahavir was born nearly 2500 years ago in Kundalgaon, Vaishali, near Vaishali. His childhood name was Vardhaman. The name of his father was Siddharth and mother was Trishula. Mahavir was the 24th Tirthankar of Jain religion. After penance at the bank of Ritu Balika in Jamia village for 12 years, he attained perception on 10th day of Vaishak Suddhi. Due to his hard devotion for 12 years and keeping himself away from worldly richness, he was named as Mahavira. In all, he delivered 146 lessons. Sorry. In all, he delivered 146 lessons, 55 about sin, 55 for sacred, and 36 about unasked questions. At the age of 72, after 6 Vijayas fasting on the night of Diwali, he died. Chandragupta Maurya 322 to 298 BC. Chandragupta was the emperor who led the sorry Chandragupta was the emperor who led the foundation of Mauryan dynasty. There is no up-to-date knowledge about his parents. There, sorry, there is no up-to-date knowledge about his parents. According to Puranas, he was the stepson of According to Puranas, he was the stepson of Raja Nanda of Magad, who was born with Mura female servant. According to another theory, Chandragupta Maurya was born in Maurya Kshatriya family of Piplivan. Chanakya helped Chandragupta Maurya to organize his powerful army and dethrone the last ruler of Nanda dynasty and established establish his rule in Magda. Chandragupta Maurya accepted his help and extended his empire up to Kabul, Herat, Kandahar, and Baluchistan. His kingdom was extended up to northwest of Hindu Kush range. Chandragupta Chandragupta faced the powerful opponent Seleucus Seleucus, the Greek commander, whom he defeated him and married his daughter Helena. He has been a great and successful emperor of India. Megasthenes, Greek ambassador who wrote Indica, visited his court. Guru Kautilya Chanakya, the prime minister in the court of Maurya, wrote Arthashastra. Both these books have a good account of the empire under Chandragupta Maurya. Kautilya, 4th century BC, president of Takshashila. Chanakya or Vishnugupta was the prime minister of Chandragupta Maurya. Once upon a time, King Nanda of Patliputra insulted him. In order to avenge this insult, he helped Chandragupta Maurya in overthrowing Nanda. Thereafter, Chandragupta was enthroned as the Magdha ruler and Chanakya was appointed his chief advisor. It is an unknown fact that when and where Chanakya or Kautilya died. Chanakya or Kautilya composed Arthashastra in Sanskrit, which is a useful volume on statecraft, economic policy, and Military strategy. Ashoka 272 to 232 BC. Ashoka, the grandson of Chandragupta Maurya and son of Bindusar, was a glorious emperor in Indian history. He is known as Ashoka the Great. Ashoka Vardhan was his full name. There is no exact account about the early life of Ashoka. Like other kings, Ashoka used to take interest in social activities, tours, and hunting, but in 13th year of his reign, his life was totally changed. During this year, he attacked Kalinga, the coastal state of Bay of Bengal, and was victorious, witnessing the widespread bloodshed. He has a change of heart. Thereafter, Ashoka accepted Buddhism and abandoned war. He worked morally and spiritually too for the welfare of his people. He was the first man who taught love humanity in order to sorry in order to spread Buddhism. He sent he sent saints to foreign countries. He himself was well known for good ideas, high moral character, and human love. Ashoka did a lot for the welfare of man welfare of man and animal. He mandated the construction of state highways. He dug wells, opened human and animal dispensaries, and made plantation of hearts. He, without any discrimination of caste, language, and religion, did many work for the welfare of human beings. His empire was extended from Hindu Kush in the northwest to Bengal in the east, from Himalayan Tarai in the north to river Pennar in the south. Ashwagosha, he was an extremely intelligent person. He composed Buddhacharita. Kanishka called him in his court, but he refused. In return, Kanishka attacked Patliputra and forcibly took Ashwagosha to his capital Peshawar. Ashwagosha was a promoter of Mahayana sect of Buddhism. Aryabhatta, 5th, sorry, Aryabhatta, 5th century BC. The name of Aryabhatta is sorry. The name of Aryabhatta is worth mentioning in Indian mathematics because he laid the foundation of algebra. Nothing special is known about the early life of Aryabhatta. Indian algebra of Aryabhatta and defunct algebra of Greeks are contemporary. Holbrook made a comparative study of both and said that Indian mathematician was much more ahead of his Greek counterparts. Aryabhatta was born at Kusumpur, Patliputra, present Patna, in 473 AD. In 499, when he was 23 years old, he started writing. He wrote three volumes. Aryabhatiya, the sorry, आर्यभटीय, दास देशिका, सूत्र, आर्य शाह सॉरी सॉरी आर्य सतह आर्य सतह is a volume of 108 stanza sorry Arya Shatah is a volume of 108 stanzas, in which 33 stanzas are related to mathematics. 25 stanzas consist of period or method of measuring the time, and remaining 24 sorry remaining 50 stanzas have Gola, a description of geography. In Indian history, Aryabhatta was the first man who separated mathematics from astrology and established it as an independent subject. He was the statement of an of an ancient scholar that Aryabhatta was given due credit after the invention of Surya Siddhant, sun's principle, because whatever he wrote that resembles with the principle of sun. According to Aryabhatta, the earth was round and rotated on its own axis. Aryabhatta was not only the scholar of algebra, but he also knew geometry and trigonometry. Aryabhatta discovered decimal system and was known as a greatest mathematician of the world. Mahakavi Vidyapati Mahakavi Vidyapati was born in Vishvi village of Darbhanga in 1352. The name of his father was Pandit Ganpati Thakur, who was the state councillor of Mithila King Maharaj Ganeshwar Singh. He was famous learned person of Sanskrit. Since his early childhood, Vidyapati was sharp-minded and attained the knowledge of Sanskrit from his father. At the small age of 20, Vidyapati wrote a volume for the praise of Kriti Singh, the son of Maharaja Ganeshwar Singh, which is known as a Kriti Lata. Sri Vidyapati earned sorry Sri Vidyapati earned the honor of being a state poet by providing his services in the court of Ganeshwar Singh, Bhav Singh, Dev Singh and Shiv Singh, the four Maharajas of Mithila dynasty. Maharaja Shiv Singh was hearted, sorry, very kind-hearted to him. He donated Vispi village to Vidyapati. The description of Maharaja Shiv Singh and Maharani Lakshmi, sorry, the description of Maharaja Shiv Singh and Maharani Lakshma Devi has been done a few times in poetry. He was the poet of Sing sorry he was the poet of Sringar Rasa. Among his writings, poetry in Maithili language and Goraksha Vijay novel are important. He was awarded Maithili Kokil for his writing. He wrote many books in Sanskrit for which Puran Sangrah, Bhu Parikrama, Ganga Kavyavali, Dan Vyaka, sorry, Dan Vyak, sorry, Dan Vakyavali, Vibha, sorry, Vibhag Sagar, Gaya, Pant, sorry, sorry, Pantmak are the main books. Sher Shah Farid was born in 1472 AD in Bajwara, the subdivision of Punjab state. Sher Shah was the president of Sasaram in Bihar. Hassan, his father, was the Jagirdar of Sasaram. Farid was his childhood name. His childhood passed with great trouble. The behavior of his stepmother was very cruel towards him. Dejected at the age of 22 years, he left the home and went to Jaunpur. At Jaunpur, he studied Persian language. After his study, he again reached after his study, he again reached Sasaram, and his father was pleased with his ability, but his mother did not like him. Farid again ran away from the house and reached Agra and joined the Mughal army. During this time, his father died, and again he came back to Sasaram and controlled the Jagir. In sorry, in 1522, he served with Bahar Khan Lohani, the Nawab of Bihar. Due to his honesty and labor pleased the Nawab. One day Bahar Khan went for hunting. At that time Farid was also with him. When they reached the forest, suddenly a lion attacked them. Lion was about to kill Nawab when Farid came forward and bravely killed the lion. Bahar Khan after this gave him the title of Sher Khan and used to, sorry, and used to call him Sher Khan. Bahar appointed him his counsel and tutor of his son. Sorry, Bahar. Bahar appointed him his counsel and tutor of his son. Sher Khan was not satisfied with sorry Sher Khan was not satisfied with that. He wanted to become the emperor of entire India. Therefore, he started to strengthen his army. First, he defeated Jalal Khan, the ruler of Bihar, and ruled over Bihar. Thereafter, he defeated Humayun and ruled over Delhi. Then he called himself Sher Shah. He was a good ruler. He undertook the construction of roads, planted shade plants, constructed tavern and post cookies in the country. The postal services from one corner to the other was started by these cookies. Grand Trunk Road is the main road among those constructed by him. Sher Shah was a worthy and great ruler, but he ruled for a short period. On 22nd May 1545, due to sudden blast of a mine, Sher Shah died. Kunwar Singh (1780 to 1858). Kunwar Singh was born in Jagdishpur village of Bhojpur district. Sahab sorry Sahab Jada Singh. His father was a kind-hearted zamindar. Kunwar Singh was the eldest son of his father. He was fond of hunting and bold activities. He was married to Devbhunga Gaya. He did many works for the development of Jagdishpur. He developed new markets, constructed wells and tanks. Among the markets which he developed, one of the market Babu Jok still exists. Prior to 1857, there were a few small revolts against the Britishers. Kunwar Singh was briefly associated with these revolts. Prior to 1857, there were a few small revolts against the Britishers. Kunwar Singh was briefly associated with these revolts. Indian Sepoys of Danapur started revolt on 25th July 1857. Sorry, Indian Sepoys of Danapur started revolt on 25th July 1857. Kunwar Singh was credited with the with atrocity of Taylor, the commissioner of Patna. He was ready to join the revolt. In this revolt, the contribution of Kunwar Singh's younger brother is also praiseworthy. Kunwar Singh, along with his force, besieged Ara cantonment. Captain Dunbar was sent to face him, but was defeated, and entire Rohtas and Bhojpur districts came under the control of Kunwar Singh. Later on in Jagdishpur, Ayar defeated the rebellion's forces. Thereafter, Kunwar Singh left Bihar and tried to organize the rebellions in Madhya Bharat and Uttar Pradesh. He had a great desire to merge with Tatya Tope, but he moved towards Kanpur from Kalpi. Thereafter went to Lucknow. From Lucknow he went to Azamgarh and returned to his district. During his journey he was great, he was greatly helped by the people, but English forces were huge and had good quantity of fighting material. One of his arm was cut and his thigh was severely wounded fighting with Britishers. He was martyred in 1858. Khudabakhsh Khan (1842 to 1900) it. His full name was Khan Bahadur Khudabakhsh Khan. Khudabakhsh Khan was a famous collector of manuscripts. He established Khudabakhsh Library at Patna, which the Parliament declared as an institute of national importance. Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad. Maulana Azad was born in 1888 in Makkah. In 1898, he came to Calcutta from Makkah, and in 1902 he published a paper, Lisanu Siddiq, listening to his intellectual speech in the annual convention organized by Anjuman-e-Himayat-e in 1904 in Lahore. People used to call him Abul Kalam. In 1905, he again went abroad after completing his education at Al Azhar, the world famous University of Egypt. He came back to Calcutta in 1907. In 1909, Azad decided to go to Ranchi on 31st March 1916. He got down wearing tight pajama, sherwani and Shahi cap and stayed in Churu Kothi of Ganpati Rai Budhiya. In 1970, no, sorry, in 1917, Maulana Azad started the construction of Islamia Madrasa. Sorry, 1917. Sorry, in 1917, Maulana Azad started the construction of Islamia Madrasa, which was completed in 1919. During his strict watch for 4 years at Ranchi, Maulana Azad wrote few books in which Tanjurianul Quran was sorry Tanjurianul Quran was the most famous. This book was published in 1931. After leaving Ranchi, the first book which he did was to meet Mahatma Gandhi in sorry After leaving Ranchi, the first work which he did was to meet Mahatma Gandhi in Delhi, and he influenced Gandhi by his ideas. In 1923, Maulana Azad was nominated chairman in a special convention of Congress held in Delhi on 3rd September 1939. Second World War broke out. British government, without asking Indians, declared the sorry On 3rd September 1939, Second World War broke out. British government, without asking Indians, declared the war from India's side. It was the time when Maulana was elected the President of Indian National Congress. 53rd Convention of Indian National Congress was held at Ramgarh, Hazaribagh in 1940, in which presidential address was given by Maulana Azad, which was of historical importance. In January 1947, when Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected chairman of Constituent Assembly, there was a vacancy in the government. At the insistence of Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru, Maulana Azad took over the charge of Education Ministry from Raj Gopalachari on 15th January 1947. From January 1947 to 22nd February 1958, for 11 years, Maulana Azad remained the Education Minister. On 2nd February 1988, he died and was buried in Jama Masjid of Delhi. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, 1884 to 1962. Doctor Rajendra Prasad was born in a small village called Jiradei. Mahadev Sahai, his father, was a well-known scholar of both Persian and Sanskrit languages. Doctor Rajendra Prasad's mother was religious-minded. At the age of 5 to 6 years, the education of Doctor Rajendra Prasad was started in Urdu and Persian by a Maulvi. For English education, he was sent to Chhapra in 1902. He passed matriculation in first division from Calcutta University. After matriculation, Rajendra Prasad was admitted to Presidency College of Calcutta and passed BA in first division. From here he passed MA and Bachelor of Law. Due to illness of his father, he could not go to England for ICS examination. In March 1907, his father died while he was studying law in Calcutta. Sometimes he used to go for teaching in the city college. In 1911, Rajendra Babu started legal practice in Calcutta, and soon he became a well-known advocate. After the opening of Patna High Court in March 1916, he started legal practice in Patna in 1917. He came in contact with Gandhiji when he was investigating the atrocity of Britishers in Champaran over the farmers. In 1921, non-cooperation movement was launched in Bihar under the leadership of Rajendra Babu. In 1922, he was made the General Secretary of Congress. In 1923, he became the chairman of Patna Nagar Palika in 1925 and in 1927 when Gandhiji widely toured Bihar. He also went to Jiradai village where Rajendra Babu was born. In 1928, Rajendra Prasad went to England in connection with the case of Dumrao Maharaja. In 1930, he was appointed the president of Bihar Congress. In the same year, at the time of Namak Satyagrah, assemblies and satyagrah were organized at different places. On 3rd January 1932, Rajendra Babu was arrested and remained for 6 months in jail. On 6th January 1933, again he was arrested and imprisoned for 15th sorry imprisoned for 15 months. On 17th January 1934, he was released from the jail due to asthma. On October 1934, in Congress convention, Rajendra Babu was elected president. On 30 April 1939, when Subhash Chandra Bose resigned, he became the president of Congress for the second time. On 5th August 1942, Congress executive in Bombay passed the proposal of Quiet India, which was supported by General Assembly. On 9th August. All the great leaders of Congress were arrested. Rajendra Babu and other leaders were imprisoned in Bihar. On 14th June 1945, Rajendra Babu, along with other executive members of Congress, were released. On 2nd December 1946, he was appointed Agriculture and Food Minister in interim government. On 11th December 1946, he became a permanent member of the Constitution Assembly. Freedom in India was declared on 15th August 1947 and the country was declared a republic on 26th January 1950. Doctor Rajendra Prasad became the first President of India after the routine general election of 1952, he Rajendra Prasad was appointed as the president in accordance with law. As the President of India, he visited Sri Lanka, Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, Laos, North and South Vietnam, and Soviet Union. After retiring as a President of India on 12th May 1962, he went to reside at Adakat Ashram in Patna. In 1962, he was honored with Bharat he was honored with the Bharat Ratna, the highest civilian award of Government of India. He wrote Atmakatha Bharat Khandit was sorry he wrote Atmakatha Bharat Khandit Satyagrah in Champaran, Mahatma Gandhi and Babu के कदमों में. He was a great intellectual, great educationist and competent lawyer. He died on 28th sorry he died on 28th February 1963. Bhikhari Thakur Bhikhari Thakur was born in 1837 in Saran district. He was the famous dramatist of Bhojpuri language. He attacked social evils, disparities, and superstitions of society through his compositions. Vidya is one of his famous writing. Ram Brick, sorry, sorry, Ram Briksh Benipuri, a famous writer and journalist. He was born in 1902 at Benipur village. He died to paralysis in 1968. Benipuri strengthened the Hindi literature very much. Benipuri strengthened the Hindi literature very much. Sorry. Ram Briksh Benipuri, a famous writer and journalist. He was born in 1902 at Benipur village. He died to paralysis in 1968. Benipuri strengthened the Hindi literature very much. माटी की मूर्तें पतितों के देश में लाल तराना चिता के फूल कैदी की पत्नी अम्रपाली संघमित्रा अमर ज्योति तथागत सिंघल विजय नेत्रदान गांव के देवता नया समाज सीता की मां विजेता are his important writings. माटी की मूर्तें पतितों के देश में लाल तराना चिता के फूल कैदी की पत्नी अम्रपाली संघमित्रा अमर ज्योति तथागत सिंघल विजय, नेत्र दान, गांव के देवता, नया समाज, सीता की माँ, विजेता और his important writings. फणीश्वर नाथ रेणु, फणीश्वर नाथ रेणु, Mela Anchal, a regional novel of Renu, had the privilege of starting the regional movement in the world of Indian novels. फणीश्वर नाथ रेणु, फणीश्वर नाथ रेणु, मैं सॉरी Anishwarnath Renu, Mela Anchal, a regional novel of Renu, had the privilege of starting the regional movement in the world of Indian novels. His other writings are Jalus, Paltu Babu Road, पढ़ती पढ़ी कथा, दीर्घतेमा, कितने चौराहे, His other writings are Jalus, पालतू बाबू रोड, पढ़ती पढ़ी कथा, दीर्घ तेमा, कितने चौराहे, शिव पूजन सहाय 1893 सॉरी शिव पूजन सहाय 1893 to 1963 सॉरी सॉरी शिव पूजन सहाय 1893 to 1963, famous literary figure of Hindi who gave new direction to Hindi stories. His entire composition was published in 4 volumes under the title of Shivapujan Granthavali. Sri Krishna Singh. Sri Krishna Singh was born at at Maur village of Barbhiga, Thana in district Munger. The name of his father was Harihar Singh. He had his early education in the village. His sorry He had his early education in the village, high school education in Munger, and college education in Patna University. After passing MA and LLB, he started legal practice in Munger's court in 1916. Patna University conferred him honorary degree of PhD. During the student life, he was deeply influenced by Bang Bandh and Swadeshi movement. When he was in the high school, he stood at the bank of river Ganga along with Gita in one hand and sword in the other, and took an oath though he may die, but he will not keep himself away from the path of country's service. He was greatly influenced by the ideas of of sorry ideas of Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Sri Aurobindo. Sorry, he joined the leftist group in 1916. He became the leader of Home Rule movement ever since in 1920 when he met Mahatma Gandhi. He considered him as his ideal leader. 1921 he spent in jail. In 1921 he was elected for state upper house. In 1930 during the SALT movement he was cruelly beaten in Sultanganj Thana. In 1934 he sorry ever since in 1920 when he met Mahatma Gandhi. He considered him as his ideal leader. In sorry 1921 he spent in jail. In 1921 he was elected for state upper house. In 1930 during the SALT movement he was cruelly beaten in Sultanganj Thana. In 1934 he became the member of Central Assembly. In 1937 when self-government administration started in Bihar. On 20th July, uh, on 20th July, uh, Congress, 19th year, sorry, on 20th July, Congress government was installed under his leadership. On 20th, sorry, in 1937, when self-government administration started in Bihar on 20th July, Congress in 1934 he became the mm, sorry in 1934 he became the member of Central Assembly. In 1937, when self-government administration started in Bihar, on 20th July, Congress government was installed under his leadership and he became the Prime Minister of Bihar. At that time, Chief Minister was called as Prime Minister. In the movement of 1942, he was imprisoned and due to the torture in jail his health deteriorated. During this period his wife, and elder brother died. These incidents made him yet stronger. In subjugated Bihar state in 1944 to 1945, his roaring voice continued. After independence, he again got the opportunity to take over the administration of Bihar state. He remained in office till his last day, 31st January 1961. Dr. Sri Krishan Singh, Dr. Sri Krishna was known as Bihari Kesari. Sorry, Dr. Sri Krishna was Dr. Sri Krishna. Dr. Sri Krishna was known as Bihar Kesari. He was great, ascetic, courageous, brave, and a man of self-esteem and strong will. His devotion, fidelity, and patriotism will always be revered. Sri Anugrah Narayan Sinha. Among the important persons of Bihar, the name of Dr. Anugrah Narayan Sinha is worth mentioning. He was born on 18th June 1887 in Payawa village of Aurangabad subdivision of Gaya division. The name of his father was Thakur Visheshwar Dayal Singh. His childhood name was Ugra Narayan Sinha. He had his early education in Gaya and intermediate and BA education was done in Patna University. Thereafter, in 1914, he passed his MA and LLB degree from Kolkata University. In 1948, he was awarded the honorary PhD degree. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was his ideal political teacher. In 1915, he was appointed as a lecturer in TNB College, Bhagalpur. At that time, he helped the flood victims by organizing groups of these students. After some time, he left the leadership of Bhagalpur. Sorry, After some time, he left the lectureship of Bhagalpur and started legal practice in Patna High Court. During the Neel movement of Champaran, when Mahatma Gandhi called Dr. Rajendra Prasad and his colleagues. Anugrah Narayan was also with him. In 1991, he left legal practice and took active part in the freedom movement. During that time, Bihar Vidyapati was sorry. During that time Bihar Vidyapeeth was established to sorry during that sorry during that time Bihar Vidyapeeth was established. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was appointed the principal and Anugrah Babu I, sorry and Anugrah sorry and Anugrah Babu a teacher of history. Since then he came closer to Doctor Rajendra Prasad. In 1921, Anugrah Narayan Sinha joined the Bihar Provincial Congress Committee and was elected its General Secretary in 1935 and President of Bihar Provincial Congress Committee in 1928 to 1929. In 1921, he was elected as the member of Subject Committee of All Indian Congress Committee and held the post till 1930. In 1928, he was nominated as a member of the Welcome Committee at Gaya Congress and in 1940 General Secretary of Ramgarh Congress Committee. In November 1934, he was elected member of Legislative Committee from Shahbag constituency in Patna in 1937 when in the first Congress government in Bihar he became the Chief Minister of Bihar. He held the portfolio of Finance, Labor, Public Works and Commerce Minister. In 1946 he became Deputy Chief Minister and held the office till his death 5th July 1957. Anugrah Narayan Sinha is known as Bihar Vibhuti. Anugrah Narayan Sinha Institute, Anugrah Narayan College in Patna, Anugrah Narayan Sinha College at Gaya, Anugrah Narayan Medical College etc. are running to pay homage to him. Jayaprakash Narayan Jayaprakash Narayan was an important pillar of freedom struggle of India. He was born on 11th October 1902 at Sitab Diara village of Sarah district in Bihar. Since his student life, he was active in the national movement, leaving his education incomplete at college in Patna. He went to America. There he was greatly influenced by Marxist thoughts. In 1929, he came back to India and joined Indian National Congress. During the civil disobedience movement in 1932, Sri Narayan was imprisoned for a year and after arrest he was sent to Nasik jail. After returning from jail, he was determined to form Congress Socialist Party by assembling people of similar views. He set up the Congress Socialist Party in 1933 and himself was the General Secretary of that party. In 1939, he was again arrested and absconded dramatically along with his fellows from Hazaribagh jail. Due to this, he became the authority. Sorry, sorry. Due to this, he became the hero of underground movement. In 1948, people with socialist inclinations left the Congress and formed Praja Socialist Party in 1922. Due to political differences, he left party in 1954 and devoted his life for the Bhudan movement of Vinoba Bhave. Sri Narayan left the politics of power and in 1974 at the request he took over the charge of student movement. With this movement, Jayaprakash Narayan came to be known as Loknayak. With the declaration of emergency in India on 25th June 1975, Jayaprakash Narayan was kept under strict watch. Later on, due to illness, he was released in general election of 1977. Indira's Congress was badly defeated and Morarji Desai became the Prime Minister of India on 8th October 1979. Shri Jayaprakash Narayan died at Patna. Shri Jayaprakash Narayan was the main politician of socialist ideology in Indian politics. He was called by the people as JP. He was participated actively. Sorry, he had participated actively in the Bhudan movement. He was always known as soft-spoken and honest politician. Ramdhari Singh Dinkar (1908 to 1974). Sri Dinkar was born at Simriya village of Begusarai, Bihar district in 1908. His father was very much an ordinary farmer. When Dinkar was 2 years old, his father died. His widowed mother made the arrangement for his study. He passed BA Honours from Patna University in 1932. He was a great scholar. Poetic activities grew in his heart from student life. After passing his sorry after passing high school, his Pranabhang book was published. Dinkar held the office of a headmaster of high school, sub-registrar under the Bihar government. Dinkar held the office of a headmaster of high school, sub-registrar and sorry, sub-regist sorry, sorry, sub-registrar under the Bihar government, deputy director in publicity department, head of the Hindi department in Muzaffarpur College, member of Rajya Sabha, vice chancellor of Bhagalpur University. He was honored with Padma Bhushan by Government of India. रेणुका द्वंद्व गीत हुनकर रसवंती चक्रावल धूप छाँव रेणुका द्वंद्व गीत हुनकर रसवंती चक्रावल धूप छाँव कुरुक्षेत्र रश्मि रथी समदेहनी नील कुसुम सीपी और शंख उर्वशी परशुराम की प्रतिज्ञा एंड हरे सॉरी and Hare Ko Hari Nam are his outstanding books. 4 chapters of Sanskrit Ardhanarishwar Reti Ke Phool Ujli Aag are prose books. He was known as Rashtra Kavi due to his book Renuka. He was awarded 1 lakh rupees as Jnanpith Jnanpith Puraskar for Urvashi. Among the poetry of Dinkar, there is a love for the past and disaffection towards the present. Glory of the past is its main theme, which gives direction to proceed towards the progress and creation. In his poems, there seems to be a love for the poor and despise for the capitalists. Most of his poems indicate the feelings of nationality, and some of his poems reflect the feelings of universal brotherhood. Dinkar was the representative poet of his time who created the feeling of new consciousness and patriotism among the human beings in 1974. He died. Nagarjun (1911 to 1998) in Maithili literature. Baba Nagarjun was known as Yatri Ji. He also wrote under the name of Deccan Misir Vidyanath Vadhai and Yatri. He adopted the Bodh, sorry, he adopted the Bodh religion and migrated to Sri Lanka in sorry migrated to Sri Lanka as a Bodh sant beside Ambari farmers sorry beside Ambari farmers movement of Chapra. He also played active role in the movement initiated by J.P. Narayan in 1974. पारो हजार हजार बाहोई वाली तुमने कहा था पल छनमा कुंभी पाक बाबा बटेश्वर नाथ वरुण के बाटे पुरानी जातियों का कोर्स आर इट्स अदर compositions. पारो हजार हजार बाहोए वाली तुमने कहा था बाल छनमा कुंभी पाक बाबा बटेश्वर नाथ वरुण के पाटे पुरानी जातियों का course are its other compositions. He was honored with Bharat Bharati UP Kabir Samman MP Rajendra Shikhar Samman Bihar on 5th November 1998 at the age of 87. He died. केदारनाथ मिश्रा प्रभात Pandit Kedarnath Mishra Prabhat was the contemporary poet of Chayavadi and national consciousness. Kaikai and Rituvansh were the two epics composed by him. Jwala 1999 was the collection of songs written by him on 2nd April 1984. He died. Acharya Nalin Vilochan Sharma 1916 to 1961. He was a fundamental constructive literary person, an analyst of new point of view, practical man, poet, story writer, teacher, essay writer, translator, editor, and artist. Janki Vallabh Shastri. He was born on 15 January 1916 at Megra, Gaya. He was born on 15 January 1916 at Megra, Gaya. Kakli, Roop, Kurup, Gatha, Radha, मेघगीत अवंतिका संगम उत्पल दल श्याम संगीत धूपवती चिंताहास त्रिमी प्रस्थ लिटरेचर एंड हंस बुलाया are his main compositions. Srimati Ram Dulari Sinha. Since beginning, she was actively involved with labor organizations. She became the member of All Indian Congress Committee in 1946 and was elected for State Assembly of Bihar in 1952, elected Member of Parliament in 1962, 1980 and 1984. In Bihar, she was the Minister of Labour and Employment, Parliamentary Affairs, Social Welfare, Tourism and Sugarcane. She was also State Minister of Communication and Broadcasting and Labour from 1980 to 1982, State Minister of Industry and Iron and Steel from 1982 to 1983, Commerce Minister from 1983 to 1984, and State Home Minister from 1985. She was also the Governor of Kerala. Bali Ram Bhagat Shri Bhagat was born in Patna on 1st October 1922. His father's was Swarup and mother's sorry his father's name was Swarup and mother's name was Srimati Vidya. During his study in 1942, he joined Quiet India movement. He remained underground for 2 years from 1950 to 1952. He was the member of Provisional Parliament. He was the member of Lok Sabha from 1952 to 1977 and in 1980 from 1952 to 1956 he was Secretary of Parliament from 1956 to 63, Planning Minister in 1967, Defence Minister from 1967 to 1969, Foreign Minister from 1969 to 70, Foreign Trade and Supply Minister from 1970 to 71, Minister of Iron and Heavy Engineering from 1976 to 1977, Speaker of Lok Sabha and from 1985 to 1986, Foreign Minister Satyendra Narayan Sinha from 1950 to 1952. He was the member of Provisional Parliament. He was the member of Lok Sabha from 1952 to 61, 1971 to 1979 and 1980. From 1961 to 67, he was the member of Bihar Assembly from 1961 to 1600. Sorry, sorry. From 1961 to 1993, he was the Minister of Education and Self-Government. From 1963 to 1967, from 1961 to 1993, he was the Minister of Education and Self-Government. Sorry, from 1963 to 1967, he was the Agriculture Minister of Bihar. In 1971, he became the President of the Bihar State Congress. In 1977, he became the member of the Bihar Janata Party. In 1969, he started publication of Nav Bihar Weekly. In 1974, he started evening edition of Nav Bihar newspaper. He represented India in various foreign delegations. In 1984, he joined Congress. He introduced some policies, removed English as compulsory subject in the matriculation examinations. When he was the Deputy Chief Minister and Education Minister of Bihar, he gave priority to unemployed engineers in jobs in the government contracts. During his first term as the Chief Minister, he introduced reservations for the OBCs in the government jobs and educational institutions in the state. During his second term as the Chief Minister of Bihar, and advocated arming the landless Dalits and the poor during the latter stages of his political career. Srimati Sharda Sinha Sharda sings in Maithili, Bhojpuri and Magahi languages, best known for her Chhat songs. She has been singing for the past 4 decades and had received the Padma Shri in 1991. Was initiated into sorry she was initiated into Indian classical music by late Pandit Raghu Jha, an eminent Khyal singer of the Panchgachiya Gharana. She trained further under the late Pandit Sitaram Pri Dandekar and Panna Devi. Prior her contribution to Bihar art and singing, she is also known as the Bihar Kokila. Her first recording was in 1972. In 2000, she received her first recording was in 1972. In 2000, she received the Sangeet Natak Akademi Puraskar, and for continued contribution in folk art of Bihar, she was awarded Padma Bhushan, the third highest civilian award in 2018. धन्यवाद. Thank you so much. Sorry. धन्यवाद. Thank you so much.